Hi there. I have a reading on today's Wisconsin election. It's Tuesday, April 7th. It's a primary election, and it's also, there's a Supreme Court justice for Wisconsin on the ballot. So it's a big deal. And it's like absolutely insane because it's not getting any special treatment at this pandemic time, and it really needs to be. So it's a big controversy happening right now. In the last 48 hours, the Democratic governor of Wisconsin signed an executive order to get a postponement so that more people could get their mail-in ballots. Really, I mean, everyone should be getting a mail-in ballot and be voting by mail. I suppose there should be the option to go out as long as the polling station is, taking into account everybody needing all the space they need to stay healthy because of this pandemic. Anyway, SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, voted, they said, no, you can't have a postponement. We don't see, and it's down the party line. The 5 conservatives said, no, we don't really see any special circumstances that would cause this election to be postponed. It should just go on as scheduled. And that's causing outrage. And I feel this just very oppressive. It's a bad feeling. Ruth Bader Ginsburg said it boggles the mind that anybody would not go ahead and give special treatment to this election. And, really any election in the next year should get special treatment, meaning everybody should get to do mail-in ballots and all that and have extra time for voting is something. So my question to the cards was, is this going to be a fair election today? Is everybody going to get their vote counted? Is everything going to work out? And I really hoped that the answer was yes. That's not the answer I get with these 2 cards and the rest of it. The upside down hanged man. Now I see this, and it's interesting because this is what sort of alerted me to this today. People are still waiting. Oops. Got a little notification. Okay, people are still waiting for their mail-in ballots. This was yesterday. There's this guy, Gordon Hintz, the Democratic leader of the Wisconsin State Assembly. He's putting it out there. Anybody who has not received their mail-in ballot, let me know. And I just was reading person after person after person replying, saying, I didn't get mine. I haven't gotten mine. I'm still waiting for mine. It's the day before the election. So that's what I see in this. Normally this would just be it's just a matter of time. But no, we're out of time. People didn't get their ballots, and I can only imagine all the other people who have in the last week developed a cough or realized I can't go out to the polls. And I also can see this, since this is a card of waiting, there are people waiting in lines that for hours and hours and hours today. And especially in the bigger cities like Milwaukee, there are 5 polling places to go out and vote for about 500,000 people. And then there's this unbelievable unfairness in that in some of these smaller towns with half that amount of people, the less urban, the more well-off little suburbs have so many more polling options. It's there's so much favor being given to certain towns, and you have to wonder what that is. I mean, there's so much, it's just such obvious voter suppression that's happening. And I mean, the death card, no, this is not a fair election. Maybe it means that this election is even going to be I feel there's going to be a very big problem. It's either just not going to count, or it's just saying it just couldn't be worse situation. The death can also be this notion, why should people have to choose between risking their life? Maybe in voting, you should be able to protect your health and vote. And at this unbelievably unprecedented pandemic that is killing tens of thousands of people, to say that's not really enough of a reason to postpone this vote today. One positive thing I do see beneath the surface is the Fool. This is a new beginning, a new way of voting. That I feel it's almost like this disaster, and this will rise from the ashes from it. And maybe it even means we're going to have a new election, because today will prove to be so unfair. Although we've already seen unfair elections, and I have not yet ever seen a new one being, produced and the old one thrown out. But we'll see. This could just be for the future, for other elections upcoming. Everybody needs to be able to vote. There needs to be a new system, and much more fairer system, and hopefully this will bring that to light. But it's just not to light yet. Or maybe today's the day that will bring a lot to light. I do see this as the stories coming out, like the things I'm finding, like people coming out and telling their stories, and the news of the day really is people sort of waking up to this. There's really no way to not see it when you have the polling station situation, when you have the conservative SCOTUS not allowing a postponement, when you have people still waiting for their mail-in ballots. I mean, these people are just not going to be able to vote. It's just not fair. And this is just everybody getting stabbed in the back, the voter being stabbed in the back. It's horrible. And, part of me does also wonder, is this also going to be the outcome of the election? Is just like, this just can't be. This can't count. I don't know. I don't know about that. That's going too far. But I do see this today as people are so angry. And they're angry because they want to vote. They want their vote to count. They are not taking this silently. And it's not just people not able to vote, but like people like me. I'm not in Wisconsin. We're all just getting so angry because we're seeing just such this obvious like voter oppression, suppression, whatever. It's just making everybody angry. I see this, hopes and fears. We sure hope that every vote counts, but maybe there are people who really kind of like it prefer it this way. I mean, we've heard Mitch McConnell and Trump both say, I believe, don't take my word for, I'm not news. I'm just relaying what I, hear in the news. Trump and Mitch McConnell both saying, well, it's not fair that Democrats want everyone to be able to vote so easily, that they're just doing that because they don't want any more Republicans to win elections, which is just so upside down and backwards, just like this whole election day is. Obviously the goal of any American election is for everybody to win. So yeah, I see that. Some people just want it to be in their favor, and they like the suppression. And then sadly, I see at the end this celebration. I would like to think, but what I do feel from this card is not like a positive celebration, but like a negative celebration of the people that sort of got their way in this election. And I see that because at the base of the read at that point is this card of, it's sickness and poverty. Poverty in this case, like there weren't enough votes that were cast. They successfully suppressed votes. And sadly, to think that it could have happened at a time, like taking advantage of the sickness to sort of like score, is horrible to think. And I decided to throw a couple more cards for clarity on this. And what I see here is that there's going to be a giant lawsuit. And that this King of Cups, I think maybe this Gordon Hintz, I don't know if I mentioned him, but he's out there saying, send me your name if you didn't get a ballot. He's the Democratic leader of the Wisconsin State Assembly. And he wants to know everybody who didn't get their mail-in ballot on time. As of yesterday, there were so many, and that was the day before the election. And I think that you're going to get all these voters. I mean, like, you have these pages, like these are the people. They want their name on that list. If they didn't get to vote, there are going to be so many people saying, I couldn't go out and vote because, who has developed a cough and doesn't want to make other people sick, or, there's so many reasons that this should have been postponed, to take special care at this time to make sure everybody gets a vote. And I think there's going to be someone who sort of takes front and center in this lawsuit and getting all the names. Maybe this is, if it's not legal, like Congress getting involved, in the unfairness of this election. So I am sorry to say that I do see today being a bad day. You know, I do see people rising and not taking it. You know, stories being shared, journalists out there writing the truth. And the other card that I saw at the base at the end was the Lovers, and I see this is another positive card, and this is, you know, I wondered what's the partnership here? I believe it's government and people. This is how government should work, is a partnership between the leaders and the people. It shouldn't just be these bosses saying, you know, trying to stay with tradition, or just like sort of like have this just oppressive patriarchal power to just say no, because it's just in this unfair way. It's got to work. It's got to be a partnership with the people. So as bad as this day may be, I just hope that in the future we're going to have a new system. Maybe this will help us in the 2020 election to sort of have a new way. So let me know if you saw anything in the cards that you want to share. Please do. And I thank you for joining me, and hope to see you next time. Bye.